Hi everyone, I'm Neama Rahmani, former federal prosecutor, and I'm here to talk about Jeffrey Epstein's list and the new documents that were unsealed recently. There's been a lot of attention on social media and traditional media about the people that are named on Epstein's list. So let's talk about them and how we got here. So the case we're talking about actually wasn't about Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, he wasn't a party to the case. It was a lawsuit filed by one of Epstein's victims, Virginia Giuffre, against Ghislaine Maxwell. Maxwell, of course, was Epstein's ex-girlfriend, co-conspirator. She helped recruit women and participate in the sexual abuse, and she was convicted by federal prosecutors, and now she's doing a 20-year sentence in federal prison. So Giuffre sued Epstein directly and settled, and then years later she sued Maxwell. And as part of that case, there were a lot of different documents that were filed, and part of them were redacted and sealed. And years later, those documents were unsealed by a federal judge. I don't think, frankly, the documents should have been sealed in the first place. Documents that are filed in cases in the United States, they're generally public. Now, there are some exceptions, of course. Victims of sexual abuse, those names should be protected, and they can file as a Jane Doe or a John Doe in most jurisdictions, and most courts will allow them to remain anonymous in the filings themselves. But a lot of the other people that were redacted or sealed, they were alleged to be witnesses to the abuse or other perpetrators. I don't see a real reason why the judge should have kept that secret. So finally, after many years and a lot of requests by the media and other members of the public, the judge unsealed the documents. And there were some big names there, but I think folks, including myself, expected a lot more. It was a little underwhelming in terms of what we expected and what we received. But let's go through some of the big names that were named. Setting aside Epstein, who's dead, of course, and Maxwell, who's convicted, no one else has really received any type of criminal punishment as a result of the sex abuse. The biggest name that I saw in the documents is Prince Andrew. There were some pretty serious allegations made against him. And this same victim, Virginia Giuffre, sued Prince Andrew as well. Of course, the prince famously said that he had never met Giuffre, even though there's that picture of them together. And he proclaimed his innocence until the very end of that civil lawsuit. When the trial was about to begin, he settled, and he reportedly settled for an 8-figure sum with Giuffre's lawyer. But I still don't expect criminal charges against Prince Andrew. So much time has passed, and generally speaking, these cases tend to get worse over time. Nor do I expect the prince to ever step foot in the United States again, because I don't think diplomatic immunity is going to help him. There were two other very important people who were named, and those were former Presidents Bill Clinton and Donald Trump. Now, importantly, even though they were named, Giuffre didn't make any direct accusations against them. There was a famous statement by Epstein to one of the other victims where Epstein reportedly said that Clinton liked young girls. But again, no direct accusations of unlawful conduct that I saw. Donald Trump is also mentioned as someone, and both Clinton and Trump traveled on Epstein's private plane. But again, no allegations made directly against Donald Trump. And Trump admitted to knowing Epstein, but nothing so far has led anyone to accuse him of participating in the sexual abuse. David Copperfield is named, and he was someone that was reportedly at one of the dinners, and he talked to one of the victims and asked the victims if they knew that girls were being paid to recruit other girls. That was a big allegation in this case, that whether it was Maxwell or other young girls, they were used as bait to go recruit other women to come perform massages and other sexual acts on Epstein. Michael Jackson was named, and he was reportedly at Epstein's Florida home, but he declined any of the massages. And there were another series of famous actors and actresses that were named, but a lot of what I read was Epstein was a name dropper. So he would tell the victims that he knew all these famous people like Leonardo DiCaprio and Cameron Diaz, but none of the victims said they ever met any of these people, and they were just asked about them during the depositions. But again, no direct evidence that they were ever with Epstein, either on the plane or on his island. Now that the documents have been unsealed, I think that lays to rest at least some of the conspiracy theories that there might be a cover-up in this case at least with respect to Virginia Giuffre's civil case against Ghislaine Maxwell. Folks still may believe that Jeffrey Epstein may not have committed suicide, may have been killed. And of course, a lot of people like myself think that he got a free pass when Alex Acosta was U.S. Attorney in Miami and gave him a non-prosecution agreement, essentially rejected the state, gave him a state prosecution deal when he should have served much more time, particularly federal time, for sex abuse. But he had Alan Dershowitz as his lawyer, my former law professor at Harvard Law School. He's been wrapped up in this scandal as well, both because he helped negotiate that deal for Epstein and because there's some allegations of abuse made against him directly as well. Thanks everyone for watching. This probably isn't the end of the Jeffrey Epstein saga. I'm sure we're gonna hear more allegations against him and those that were involved in the sexual abuse. Of course, I'll be here to cover it. Make sure to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications.